Okay, so this here is the second step, is a follow-up to the last video. I had traced around here, but it turns out that it didn't work very well. Couldn't get the angle correct. So what I did is, essentially, I came over to the size 11 boot, which is, the X was meant for this boot, and sizes thereafter, the larger sizes, and I just measured the distance between here and here, which is the backstay, the part that gets sewn in the back. And then I'm coming over here to my kitchen. Let's see, I'll bring this over and show you. Okay, so this part back here is called the backstay, and the middle of this part to here is this part, the part that gets sewn. So what I essentially did is I just measured the middle. You can see that little line there, see that X? From there to there is this distance from here to here, and from here to here is this distance from here to here, which is well, I don't remember the measurement, but anyway. So then after I did that, I just sort of traced along and followed this contour, and that's how I got this design, and it actually worked out pretty well. Then I just retraced the sheet on a piece of thicker paper, and I came up with this design. Alright, so that was that step, and also I put a template here up on the top to make it so that it decreases errors, because if you just go by the top here, you don't have much distance here to play around with. So if you get it off a little bit, see how it's off in the front there, and if you twist it a little bit, it could be off, just that little twist is off a lot. So I had to put this extension here on the top to make sure that it's spot on every time, or right on every time. So that was that step, and then after that I had to start figuring out what this could fit on. So it turns out it fits on a 10.5, size 11, 11.5, 12, and then 12.5. So you can see the difference between a size 10.5, which is, this is the distance between here and here, the lace holes, the lace eyelets, and then from here to here there's a bigger difference because it's the biggest boot. It still fits here in the back correctly, and it still lines up here, but because it lines up here correctly in the back, the back foot lines up with the last line here, the part that gets tucked under, you know. See how much distance there is in the biggest one, and see how little distance there is here. So there's a considerable difference, about ½ an inch. I'm not using metric, obviously, but you know, you don't know the difference. And so then that was that step. Okay, so the next step now is to figure out, I have to scale this down. And when I scale it down to another size, well, it turns out that this size doesn't fit on a 10.5. I couldn't get it to fit because it comes too far up against the lace holes, and you can see here I already tried and it just didn't work. And I was off far back here. So I have to scale this X down and figure out what sizes the next group of sizes is going to fit on. And I think it's going to fit on a 7, a 7.5, an 8, and an 8.5. And it's possibly I might even get a 9. But then it leaves out, what am I going to do with the 9.5 and 10? Because the smallest size scale of this X isn't going to fit on these. So I'm going to have to create 3 of them, which is going to cost now maybe $2,500 to $3 grand. Because remember, these are going to be in metal, and it's going to be like a cookie cutter. So it cuts out the leather perfect every time. So what I might wind up doing is taking this 9 and put it over here so it scales better. or scale. It conforms easier, conforms better to the actual boot. So I might wind up doing that, or I might keep the 9 over here. I don't know. I have to speak to the manufacturer as well and get their advice. But in any regard, I have to. My next step now is to scan this X on the flatbed scanner that I have. It's just a really old scanner, but that's all right. You know, you just scan the X and then you scan the largest size here in the boot and you make it fit. So you know, you put this on the scanner bed and you just scan it, and then you get it so that when you print it, well, however it scans as, that when you print it, it fits exactly to the size. That way it's scalable. It scales when you actually do this. When you try to fit this X here on the boot on the computer, and you go to hit, you know, print, and it prints it out exactly the same size. It turns out that's 300 square units, or whatever, the pixels per square unit, or whatever that is. So now the next step would be is where I'm going to be on the computer and I'm going to be scaling this X down, trying to refix the angles, and trying to get this to fit appropriately. I think the front of the X is going to be somewhere around. It's going to be somewhere around here on the bigger size, and then I have to pull this in and so on and so forth, and then print that out and see how it scales on all the rest of these sizes. And if it scales well, then I have to do it one more time for this. If it doesn't scale well, then I have to go back to the computer, refix the X, print it out again, and then see how it scales and make sure it fits on all these sizes appropriately. And then finish that and then go over to here. And then once these are done, then I can send all this back to the manufacturer. I'm sending all these sizes back, and then he's going to create, manufacturer is going to create one of these boots, these mock-up boots for all these sizes. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 12 of these things. Now how much am I going to get? 1, 2, actually I'll give you the exact number to be honest. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I was right. So 12. I'm going to be getting 12 of these, and then see how it fits. All the angles are right and it looks right, and you know, I'm trying to imagine how it would look as if it was a finished product, a finished boot. And if all that's well, if all of that is well, then I'm going to, we can now go on to the 5th prototype of the Xtreme Ice Skate and then work from there. And the 5th prototype will be the testing phase on the ice and so on. So I'll get into the whole video series when we get there. So that's what I'm doing for now. There'll probably be another video or two after this just to update how I'm doing on this progress here. Alright, bye bye.